Hey, good morning, guys.
Good
Good
morning.
morning, Amit.
Okay, sorry for the delay. Actually, there was some detail missing related to login, so that's why I was not able to log in at the time. Okay, so I will start quickly. So before that, just a confirmation about my audio quality. And I'm going to share my screen soon, so just confirm on that as well. Just a minute.
We are able to hear you.
Okay. Just a minute. All right, so let me share my screen as well. Okay. And I believe it's visible now. Currently, I'm at my Chrome.
Yes, Rahul, your Google page is visible.
Okay, so let's get it started. Right. So this is going to be a kind of demo and day one session. So we'll cover a few of the things. So basically, before starting, here are the course highlights. What key things we are going to cover throughout this course. Basically, being on first or demo session, it's a good thing to interact. So whatever questions you have, whatever things you feel that what you can get out of this course, or what are the expectations from this course for you, you can just put. Right. So basically, these are the key things that we will be learning throughout. We will go through basic to intermediate details of learning Geometer and performance testing. So this is not an advanced level course, and probably we can touch upon few advanced things, but still that depends upon the you guys, that how you catch up the things or how expert you are. But we will go through this course from very basic to intermediate level. So going through this course, we will learn definitely Geometer in details, and we will be covering all the performance aspects while learning Geometer. So basically, you know that this Geometer is a performance testing tool, so we cannot standalone go with Geometer functionalities or features unless we understand the performance aspects of those things. So yeah, as I said, performance testing concepts and terminologies will be covered. We will be learning about running performance test. We'll look at the reporting aspects, how a performance report contains, and how to generate a performance report. And we will be going through the JMeter scripting areas, that in order to do performance testing, how a script is generated using JMeter, and how a scenario is created. All right, data-driven testing concepts, basically parameterization, and then correlation, that how a correlation is performed when a new script is created. So we'll go through all these details, and then we'll cover about the database testing and a few touch on scripting for the APIs. So basically the REST API scripting. So we are not going into detail of the REST APIs itself, but how a test plan can be created for a REST APIs. All right, so these will be the things at a high level. which will be covered throughout this course. Okay, any question, anything that you have on this?
Can we integrate Selenium with JMeter?
Yes, so JMeter Selenium we can integrate. So that's a kind of configuration part that I will be covering, that how to integrate Selenium. So if you are having expertise in Selenium and you want to integrate Selenium with JMeter, so that will be covered, that what are the things required to integrate, and I will guiding you through the till the point where you will be able to write Selenium like a script in JMeter.
With APM, it can be possible.
No, so APM coverage is out of this course.
No. We can integrate APM with JMeter.
That's also out of scope.
Yeah, hi Amit. This is Anirudh. I'm a beginner to all performance testing, so I just wanted to understand what are the prerequisites. I mean, any in particular knowledge of any language or any scripting language or any tool to understand it better.
Okay, that's a good question. So if you are a beginner, probably I believe that you have some experience in a testing domain, or you are a completely beginner.
No, just to performance. I have 5 years of experience. Yes, in testing.
Oh, that's good. So the idea is, if you are in a software industry having any role like a manual tester or automation tester, if you are a part of development itself, that's a quite good background to learn JMeter. So it's a tool, right? So the easy thing about JMeter, it's a UI based tool, and it does not require a lot of background. Only thing, the basic things you should be knowing about the software quality. So I think that's quite enough. And in terms of scripting any language, if you have basic knowledge on Java itself, core Java, that will be sufficient. So we will be looking at the few topics like scripting, bin shell scripting, where there are flexibilities of using different kind of language, like basic Java you can use. So in that areas, if you have basic understanding of Java, that will be quite enough. And with that, you will get a good knowledge on these JMeter and the scripting areas as well.
All right. Thank you, Amit.
Hi Amit, this is Jayati. Just want to check, like this will be purely tool, or will you also help us in understanding the concepts related to performance? So just even I'm new to the concepts of performance testing.
All right. Yeah. So you will be provided a good background of performance as well. So we will be exploring the tool, but side by side, we will be learning the performance concepts as well.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Amit. I just want to know what is the duration, how long this course will be?
All right. So it's going to be around 8 classes. Probably it's not strict to 8 classes, but it can expand up to 10 classes. So I would say it's going to be 8 to 10 classes. And each class will be around 90 minutes.
Amit, one last thing. Is it when you said that it is going to be recorded, would it be available to all of us, or is it not?
It will be available to all of you. So every session once is recorded, and that will be shared to you.
All right. Thank you.
Last question, Amit. We will be doing any projects in it? You will be assigning anything tasks to do for the practice? Especially my question was like for the performance, like if you will assign any sites to practice, because it can't be applied on any site randomly because of these security reasons.
Right. Yeah, that's a good question, and we will be covering such aspect as well, that we cannot just randomly start doing performance testing on any public website. But there are a few dummy websites there you can practice of all the performance things that we will be learning throughout this course, like correlation or parameterization, or whatever the elements that we are going to learn, you can practice. Yeah, for that, there are a few dummy websites, and I will share you the required things to do enough practice for you guys.
Thank you very much.
All right, so
sorry,
yeah.
sorry, Amit, just one more thing. Will you be sharing any kind of theoretical document or something, or any kind of thing that we can refer apart from practicals? Or practical will be enough?
Generally, yeah. So such documentation I do not have, and that has not been prepared from the last many classes. But there are online resources that you can refer, and that are quite helpful. The JMeter official website is quite helpful, and that provides a very good documentation, which I think are quite enough if you follow that.
Okay, thanks.
Well, we can take further questions later. Probably you can just keep your questions in mind and can put later. Let's begin with the topic. So these are the things that we are going to cover today. We will be going through the installation. We'll talk about JMeter and the role of JMeter, and a few things like features and benefits, what is performance testing, types, and how we go for a test plan designing. So what are the approaches when we say that we are going to design a test plan in JMeter? So we'll look at the manual, and actually, in order to design test plan, there are different approaches like manual designing or recording. So recording itself has many different ways. So we'll look at those things, right? Let's begin with the JMeter installation and setup first. So for setup and installation, it's quite easy, and I believe that most of you already have installed JMeter. But yet, so to do that, simply type JMeter download. And as a requirement, you should be having JRE, Java runtime environment. If you have JDK, that's fine as well, but the only required thing is the JRE. So if you have Java up and running in your system, in any system like Linux or Windows or Mac, so whatever platform you have, that doesn't matter. The only thing that you should be properly configured with Java. And if you have so, you can simply go JMeter download, and from the official website, which is jmeter.apache.org, go there. Just a minute. Okay, so this is the download page, and here the latest one is the 5.4.1, which requires Java 8 plus. So it is recommended to have the Java 8 plus version. So I'm currently on Windows system. So here is my binary. So you need to get into binaries, and from binaries you have to download .zip, which is recommended for Windows system. But if you want to run this JMeter on Linux or on Mac system, go for .tzz extension. Things will be similar. So once you just click on it, .zip, and it will start downloading. Okay, so to save time, I have already downloaded that, and just have this zip file or .tzz file at any location in your system, that doesn't matter, and extract that, right? So once you extract, you will be getting a folder with a version name. So get into that folder. Inside bin, for Windows system, here is the jmeter.bat. So if in your system the extensions are hidden, look for the type, which is Windows batch file. All right, so it's quite simple. If I double click on windows.bat on Windows machine, sorry, jmeter.bat on Windows machine, it will pop up and your JMeter instance will open. Keep these windows, this pop-up up and running, right? And this is the JMeter interface. For Linux or Mac system, you have to go to the location where you have extracted the JMeter from the terminal. And for execution, you have to execute this sh, right? So you know well from terminal, you simply execute this sh file like /jmeter.sh being at the location inside bin. Okay, so there as well, if you have Java up and running properly, this JMeter will simply up and running, and you will be getting the exact similar UI or interface there as well. No difference. So once you get JMeter up and running, the platform level differences are gone, and you will be getting the exact same thing on Mac or Linux or on Windows. All right, so probably when you launching the JMeter first time, you might not be getting a theme of like this kind of thing, but you might having a different theme like black or something. So for that, you can get into the options, look and feel, and then you can change whatever you want. So for my current setting, the default is IntelliJ Dark Laugh. You can adjust as per the things you like. Okay, so quite simple. This is how JMeter looks like. So from the left side, you will be able to design things by right-clicking, adding different elements. Like, so this is what a simple things we get when we first launch the JMeter, and here's a test plan. So for a single instance of JMeter, you can have a single test plan, but inside that you can have multiple things. Like this is the thread group, which is called element. So anything we look here is referred as element in JMeter. We'll look at those things later, but the quite important thing is the help menu. From the help menu, you can refer to the useful links like release note or component reference documentation and few other things. So from the component reference documentation, you can look at the manual of
Amit,
the,
your voice is breaking.
Okay, thank you. Let me check.
Hello, Amit.
Yeah, am I audible properly now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just remind me if there is a disturbance. All right, and I believe that it's good now. Okay, so quite simple about installation and setup. The only thing you need is to have Java in your system installed. So if someone is facing difficulty in setting up Java or installing Java on their system, earlier it was a kind of complex thing of setting Java, like setting the environment variables and paths. But I think that thing has been handled on their own. So now if you install Java, those things are set up on their own. But still, if anyone is having difficulty, probably can just ping me on WhatsApp, can reach out to me, then we can check on the specific problem. Okay, so this session is going to be a kind of theory kind of things. Basically, we are just going into the details of the things we are learning. So just to give you a good background so that you will be comfortable enough for the next classes. So it's going to be a kind of orientation of the things like JMeter, why we use, and all those details, right? So just focus because it will be helpful. So what is JMeter? So simply from this page itself, if you go to the overview, so just have this website. Okay, basically this is the official JMeter website. So go through this once, like what is JMeter? So about Apache JMeter, it's 100% pure Java-based application, which was originally designed to test the functional aspects, but it has now improved to do the performance testing. And apart from, initially it was supported the
Sorry, Amit,
HTTP
can
and
I ask
HTTPS
something?
protocol. Yes, yes.
This is supported for only Java application, not for ASP.NET or something else.
This is a Java-based application, so it's not like it's supported for Java application. So basically, it gives you a way to test these kind of protocols, HTTP, HTTPS. So any application either written in ASP.NET or in core Java or in any language which runs on a website that supports these protocols, JMeter is capable of evaluating or basically doing performance testing for those applications. Is it clear?
Yeah.
All right. So I would just encourage you to go through this page, which will give you a quite good background of this application, about this JMeter, that what this application is and how this application can be used for different kind of testing, like testing a website which runs on protocol HTTP, HTTPS, or a website which supports SOAP or REST web services. Or if you want to test a database directly via JDBC protocol, then you can use this JMeter as well for such purposes, right? So if you have a database and you want to do performance testing against the database itself, not through these HTTP or HTTPS protocols, so that can also be done using the JMeter directly. So these are the kind of ability to do load and performance testing using this application. So these are the various protocols that JMeter supports, right? So there are quite good things or links on this page that how to use JMeter, right? Component reference, functional reference, and a few lot other details. One important point that JMeter is not a browser. So basically, it does not have a rendering engine like browser have. So we will talk about this aspect, that how JMeter works when we hit a website. It does not include the JavaScripts and CSS into their engine. JMeter can fetch those details, but it's basically a tool that work on the hitting the page like HTML page and fetching the resources, but not parsing the scripts and CSS as a browser engine. All right, so have a reference of this link, go through that. Okay, so why we need JMeter? So what is the role of JMeter in doing performance testing, right? We have a website, let's say we have a website. For that, we have to do a performance testing. All right, so what JMeter can help actually in doing performance testing? What's the role? So I think we have talked a bit about that, what things we do with the help of JMeter. So can anyone help me just answering a bit, quite of words on this that what's the role of JMeter?
Hello, sir.
JMeter.
Yeah, anyone, please?
Yeah, for checking the stability of any application, we use JMeter.
So yeah, so that's the objective. That's the to check the stability. But what we can do with the help of JMeter?
We check the performance of that application, how the application will be run on any website. So, if we increase the load and stress, like the types of performance testing, we increase the load, so how will application will be react, like application was running smoothly or not.
Okay. Yeah, the kind of matching. So the answer that I was expecting, but not 100% match. So anyone?
Every time, hello, sir. Every time manual performance testing cannot be possible. That's why we need some tool like a JMeter. And JMeter, it's a very good tool that measures the performance of that particular application. That's why we need a JMeter.
Okay, fair enough. You have the idea. Let me guide you through what I think that how JMeter helps. What's the actual role of JMeter?
Is it used to simulate the virtual users? The same request is being sent by the multiple users virtually.
Yeah, that's a kind of almost kind of the answer that I was expecting. Yeah, that's a good thing. So basically, when we say that we have to evaluate the performance of a website, right? So that's my objective, that I have to evaluate the performance, that how I can achieve that, how to evaluate, right? So for that, any application which is running on any protocol, either HTTP or HTTPS, or it's a database itself, when we talk about evaluating the performance, we talk about a kind of workload that any application can sustain or any application can support, and that workload is a kind of a different matrices, or it's a kind of a different thing for different applications. So if I talk about an application which is a website which runs on protocol HTTP or HTTPS, right? So a workload can be it's a hits per second or request per second, right? A workload. So this request per second would be a workload. Number of virtual users or number of users handled by the application is a kind of workload for that application. Any application which runs on protocol HTTP or HTTPS. Take any example: Flipkart, Amazon, Myntra, any one that runs on protocol HTTP and HTTPS. So for those applications, workload would be request per second, number of virtual users, and you can say a kind of data transfer, right? So it can be in KB per second or MB per second. So these are the workloads. And when we talk about evaluating the performance of any application, we talk about the workload handled by that application. And it's a kind of measurement that we look that how many workload can be supported. And since any application is measured by the workload, we need a way, or we need a mechanism through which we can generate workload on that application, so that we can measure its performance, that my application can sustain how many requests per second, how many users per second, how many users in total, not in per second actually, how many data transfer my application can sustain in terms of KB per second or MB per second. So to simulate these things, we need a tool, or we need a mechanism, we need an application that can help doing this, like generating requests per second on my application, so that I can evaluate the performance of that, or basically I can understand the behavior of my application. So JMeter is going to help you doing all these things. All right. In actually generating some workload on the application, based on the application, it can be request per second. The workload can be measured by request per second, number of users, data transfers, number of connections, if we talk about the in terms of database specific, or the queries per second, how many queries per second we can run based on the type of queries, like select queries, update queries, delete queries, create queries. So these are the workload for the application, and JMeter is going to help simulating, basically generating those workloads. All right, so these are the key things that we are going to achieve out of this JMeter, and this is what the role of JMeter. It's a tool that helps us simulating a kind of workload. All right, I think it should be clear now that what we are expecting out of this this tool, basically this JMeter, and what's the role of JMeter, and these things as a whole, in order to generate some request per second, or the hits per second on any application, definitely we need to understand that how JMeter can do that. For that, we need a script in JMeter. We need to have some elements in JMeter like HTTP request, and then we need to put the URL. Then we need to put the proper methods like get or post. Such kind of details we need to design, or we need to put in JMeter, so that JMeter can simply simulate a kind of workload hits per second or request per second. And again, we can define the number of users in JMeter as well, and then we can look at the behavior of the application. Okay, so let's talk about these features and benefits if we are good on how JMeter can help us in doing performance testing. Okay, so quick things about JMeter. So first thing, that it's a Java-based application, so it's platform independent. You can run this application on any platform, as we talked earlier. And the one important thing that it's a free tool. It's an open source tool, and here from the download section, you might have noticed that there is a source as well. So you can download the source of this JMeter as well. So it's a completely Java-based application and completely free to use. It does not require any license. You can use it for commercial purpose. And a few things about this JMeter, that it's quite easy to learn. It does not demand any specific expertise in language like C or Java or C++. It's a UI-based tool which has a lot of options available on right click. Like if we go, just simply click right on the test plan, add thread user thread group. So a new element, which is thread group, is added. And if I want, I can simply add a sampler HTTP request. So I'm just trying to give you an idea that how easy JMeter is to use and how easily you can simply create a test plan. Like here we have HTTP request. Here is a thread group. Again, if you want, you can simply copy any of the element and simply right click and then paste it, right? You can use this shortcut, copy and paste. You can rename it, and then you can drag it like, okay, so let me copy and paste it once again. And if we have 3, simply I can drag it like this. So any element can be arranged on just simply drag and drop. Simply right click, and a lot of options available. So the idea is that JMeter is quite easy to learn as compared to other tools like LoadRunner. We have that demands a kind of scripting language, Java or C, and that's not a kind of UI based tool. So on the ease of learning, JMeter is quite easy to learn. Okay, I think that's quite things on features and benefits. You can explore the things being such a kind of theory portions. You can I just encourage you to go through the website and learn these things. And if we go
Amit,
for it,
sorry, one question. So there are other tools as well, load runner, so and silk performer. Is it something that JMeter is widely used? That is why.
yes. So most of the companies now acquiring JMeter for quite few reasons, because it supports a lot of protocols. There are a lot of protocols supported, as the page mentioned, that there are different protocols. And being free, it's a kind of lot of cost saving for the companies. So it's being used widely as a major tool. So it's quite has a wide range in the industry.
Yeah, hi Amit. One question to that. I mean, but just extending the question what she asked. Are there any because it's an open source and free tool, so would definitely there would be some limitations which it cannot cover, like maybe like other tools like Load Runner or something. So any major limitations which we should be knowing before?
Okay, so I think being a kind of initial phase, if there is a company which has adopted performance testing and they want to evaluate the performance of the application, this tool provides a lot of things that can be done, or a lot of things that can be achieved. But there are definitely few limitations that, like, if you want to have a UI based testing, like other tools provide, like if we talk about the load runner, so that provides a protocol true client, which is a completely a good protocol that supports complete UI performance, which is missing in JMeter. So there are a few limitations, but you will just identify, or you will come to those limitations if you achieve a good level in performance testing domain. But for initial phases, or for the initial adaptations, or if you are new in performance testing, that tools provides a lot of things and quite good things that can be achieved using this tool.
All right, thank you.
Amit, how we will do the performance testing of mobile application?
Okay, so mobile application is quite so that's requires a lot of minor details, that what kind of performance testing for mobile you want. You want the APK itself, the application itself being tested, or the mobile version of the web page. Basically, there is a web page which is being opened on a mobile device or a web browser. So there are a few things. The second one that I mentioned, that if there is an application which is being accessed through the mobile browser, like if you have a mobile device, any platform running on any platform, Android or iOS, so that has their own specific browsers like Chrome or Firefox. So testing a web page for a mobile web version it's a kind of thing that can be done in JMeter, and it's easy to do that. But testing an application itself, like there is a application which is installed in a mobile device, and if you want to evaluate the application itself, that's quite not easy and not supported directly in JMeter. But if you want to evaluate the page itself, that how a web page looks like when loaded in a mobile browser, that can be done.
Okay, thank you.
Amit, if can we check like APK, like Facebook APK in JMeter, can be possible? Or
no, that's not possible.
Amit, Sorry, sir, actually I'm getting some error, like some Java heap issue. Can I share my screen?
Can we tackle that post completion of this session?
Sure.
Okay.
Amit, I have one query. Actually, if we get for APK, if we get the APIs from the developer, so can we test then performance for the APK?
See, there is a quite good reason not to test the APK, because APK is a kind of application that runs individually on any mobile device. So definitely you are not going to overload any APK, because it will be running on a single device, and the single person will be using that APK. What will be the impact? The API is generated behind the APK will be the performance candidate. So let's say I have an APK installed in my system in my mobile for any website. So when I log in, so that APK is kind of just an interface. When I log in through the APK or the browser, what happens? So if we talk about the APK itself, so what happens when we put the username and password? If there is an API behind, so that API is responsible for validating the username and password, and my APK will spin until the response of the API gets back to APK. All right. So my APK is purely depending on the response of the API. For that, I have sent my username and password. So it's a kind of application which is serving the API is the key candidate of performance, because unless the application responds, my APK will spin and will wait for the response. All right. So these are the quite things, or these are the reasons we consider doing performance testing for the APIs itself, because anyway, application is not going to be a bottleneck.
Okay.
I mean, the APK is not going to be a bottleneck.
Yeah, got it. Thank you.
All right, so let's quickly talk about the definition of performance testing. And this is the definition I have taken from the wiki page. In software quality assurance, performance testing is in general a testing practice performed to determine how a system performs in terms of responsiveness and stability under a particular workload. So three things to note: responsiveness, stability under a particular workload. We talked about the workload and what could be the workload for an application. This would be like request per second, number of users handles, data transfer per second. So these are the workloads. So if we put some workload on any application, so what we look out of performance testing, we look for the responsiveness and stability. And then we look at how my system performs in terms of responsiveness. Earlier, there was no such load, then my application was able to return the login page in 1 second, right? Just understand it. When I log into an application, when there is no such workload on the application, basically no workload, I mean, there are no active users doing login, and my application is in idle state, then the response time of the login page is 1 second. Okay, but I need to evaluate that there are 100 users doing the login, 100 users doing the login simultaneously. So what's the performance of my application, right? So this is the workload we are adding to the application in terms of 100 users, as I talked, number of users. And basically the request will be generated around 100 if I say that all users are trying to log in simultaneously. So I would say that there are 100 number of requests per second are generated on login page. Then I need to evaluate the responsiveness, that is there is a degradation in response time. So responsiveness is something, the response time of the login page. So how much it has been degraded? Has it gone to 1.5 second, 2 second, or more than that? More than 5 seconds, something like that. So I need to look at the responsiveness and stability. So responsiveness will focus on the response time. Stability, that we will be looking at the system stability, that my system is actually stable or not. It's somehow broken because of high number of users and requests per second, or it is stable, but the response time is degraded. So those kind of details we look while doing performance testing under a particular workload. And this workload is something, in my case, as I given an example, is 1 second or 100 users. Okay. And then we say it's a type of performance testing. So for now, I would say these are the type: load testing of performance testing, load, stress, endurance, and a spike. A quick definition, probably we will cover this in details in further sessions. The load testing is the testing when we do or we generate a workload on the application for expected work, or basically the expected load. So let's say I'm expecting that my 100 users can do simultaneous login. So generating this workload, basically the expected workload on the application, comes under the category of load testing. Okay. So when I say that I have to do a load testing of my application, so basically how much workload I'm going to generate, the workload is going to be expected load. And when I say stress testing, it's going to be the maximum load my application can support. See, the difference is that expected workload, let's say if it's 100 users, this is the expected workload that my, this is my expectation that my application should or must sustain 100 users. Then if I do performance testing with these users, it is called load testing. But the chances are that my application is more capable of supporting users. Okay, it can support more than 100 users. So I have evaluated and find out that maximum of 150 users can be supported. Okay, so testing the application with its maximum capacity is known as stress testing. And then we know that this 150 is the maximum limit. So we try to evaluate the performance of the application with 150 users by looking at the responsiveness and looking at the stability at its maximum load. And doing such testing is known as stress. While endurance is something that runs for longer period, like 12 hours, 24 hours, more than that. Okay, so the purpose of doing endurance test is to look at the stability of my application in a longer period. All right, so I just want to ensure that how long my application can sustain the expected load. Okay, generally this endurance testing is done on expected load and not on the maximum capacity load. All right, so running load testing, or basically on expected load for a longer duration, for 12 hour, 24 hour, even more than that, that's kind of testing we refer as endurance testing. And spike testing is a kind of sudden workload to the application. Okay, I know that my application can sustain up to 150 users, but what happens if there are sudden 150 users hit the application? Okay, so there is no such load. The system is in idle state, but suddenly there are 150 users hit my application login page or the launch page. So how my application is handling that sudden load? Okay, so such kind of simulation is known as spike testing. you will find other types as well. The list is not limited to these four, but these are the more important four types. You can look for other resources about the type. You can just try to understand these things. Once you able to get all these four, probably what are the 2, 3 more types mentioned, you can get those easily as well. I think I have a question. Just let me know if there is one.
Yeah, hi Amit. It's probably a very stupid question to ask, but I'll still go ahead. So when you say, let's say, expected load or load testing of 100 users or stress testing of 150 users through this tool, so are we going to just create virtual instances of those 150 users, or is it it opens 150 times? I mean, just to clear.
All right. So it's if you talk about open, so this should be only UI, and from there you can generate like number of users or instances like 100 or 150. So simply like this.
But isn't it in real time? Isn't it little different? Like, let's say if 150 users are accessing the same server, let's say, so the use case, or let's say in real time environment, isn't it little different from the virtual thread? Or how can we be very sure that the results which we achieve through this tool are accurate enough? Let's say for 150 users, you're able to do, or you're able to pass a test. But in reality, Flipkart, let's say Flipkart, 150 users are accessing that website at the same instance, and it gets crashed. So is it like authentic result, or we can just guess almost?
Okay. So what I get your question is like when we simulate 150 users, how close it is to a real traffic on the production or the real traffic on the application.
Yes.
Well, that's depend upon the design you have created or the script you have created. If there is a single page, let's say if it's a login page itself, all right, so it's going to be as real as real users, because if you want to evaluate the login page, so let's keep it as a kind of demonstration that this is my home page. All right, and this is my login page. Okay, so these are the two pages I have to evaluate with 150 users, say, for example. All right, so it's going to be a kind of more real use case, and it's depend. So whenever you have to evaluate the performance of any application, there are a lot of scopes that you can do. Basically, there are a lot of pages, there are a lot of areas you can validate, like login page, users account page, order details page, or the search functionality. So there are a lot of things an application can contain, and you need to be specific on a specific use case or on a specific pages that you have to evaluate. And to make it more real production like use case, you need to study the pattern of the production as well, that how many users are flowing through the pages. So if there is a user coming on the home page, how long it stays on home page, and then after some wait time, it proceed to login page. All right, so you need to study the pattern and probably to make it more production like use case. So let's say my user hits the launch page of my application. I know that there is a wait time of some seconds before going to login page. So probably you should be providing the wait time between these two pages, like some seconds, like 5 seconds, and then it hits the login page. So such kind of pattern you need to study. And if you are able to design and such kind of test plan by putting the pause time and some other validations, then you can get a more real like scenario. So generating 150 from this JMeter and the actual 150 will not differ much.
All right, Amit, that was helpful. Thank you.
But how will I know how much is the stress? So is it something that we need to keep on changing the number of users? Like now you said 150 and it hopefully works. Then do we need to?
Yeah, that's a good question. So basically, for any application, there should be a threshold limit, or the you can say the acceptable limit.
Can we say what are the response times?
Yeah, so I'm coming to that portion. So acceptable limits can contain multiple things like response time, and these are derived as basically they should be accepted by the business or the application owner, or the person who is responsible for defining those things. Basically, whenever any application is designed, so the architect team or the team, or basically the core engineering team, they know that how complex their application is. What are the computations that are going behind the scene, or what complex things are happening in the application. So based on the complexity of the application, each application must have a different responsiveness or the different capacity. So this acceptable limit in terms of response time or in terms of number of users, errors percentage, you can say hits per second. So these things define the acceptable limit. Let's say my application has a maximum acceptable limit of 3 seconds for login page. Okay. So I stick on this like response time or responsiveness for my login page. So on your point, how we can conclude. So basically for that, we have to design a kind of use case where we will be increasing our workload on the login page itself, and we keep looking at the responsiveness. Okay, so the workload might be in terms of number of users or hits per second. We keep increasing these two things, and once I reach the 3 seconds of responsiveness, then it's my maximum acceptable limit. I cannot go beyond because my business will not accept it. Probably my application can handle more number of users, more number of hits per second, but I might be facing degraded response time up to 4 seconds, which might not be acceptable. So in that case, I should be having some maximum acceptable limit, which is given to us by the business or by the architect team. And you should be asking that limits. And
so this is independent of number of users or dependent on number of users?
That depends. That can be a kind of based on the application. If the application is a kind of application that maintain the sessions, then the users might be key factors to consider, because that application might not handle a 200 number of more than 200 number of sessions or something like that. If it's a kind of application which does not maintain the sessions, that it can be independent of users. So that's again depends.
So it is mentioned in document, SRS document.
Yes. So there is a document which is known as service level agreement, SLA document. Okay. Being a performance tester, you are basically you have rights to ask for this document from the person the requirement is coming for performance testing. Either it can be business requirement, or from the architect, or from the from where you are getting the request for doing performance testing. You can ask for this SLA document, and then can understand the maximum service limit for the things you are doing performance testing.
Okay.
Amit,
Mhm.
yeah, short question. Like while doing the stress testing, like what I think the when we install the Apache JMeter on a system, it acts like a server at that time because the requesting is being sent from your system. Does it also depends on where we are running the JMeter? Like
Yeah.
our normal PCs are not having the much RAM or much hardware as compared to the application servers.
Okay. Okay, let me answer this, and probably if you have then some points you can put. First, the JMeter where we are installing and the request we are sending from the JMeter. So in that case, we will be calling JMeter as a client. So my JMeter is a client, or the different terminologies that we use. It's a kind of load generator. Okay. Client or load generator. So these two things we will be calling JMeter, where it is installed and from where we are generating load to a server. So server is something, let's say I have my application deployed somewhere, which is my server, and JMeter is a client which is generating the workload. So it's generating workload. That's the reason we called it load generator as well. Though this terminology might be different when we are dealing with distributed testing. So, but for now, let's say that my JMeter is a load generator, or it's a client only. You should be considering basically few things when you generate load. Basically, whatever response we get in JMeter includes the latency as well. So latency, you can call like the network latency. So if my JMeter I have in my local system, let's say I'm sitting in India, I have installed my JMeter in my local Windows machine, and I try to test an application which is in America, deployed somewhere in America data center. So it's not a good practice of doing performance testing, because on a local system, you includes a lot of latency. So the actual response time might differ what you are getting in your JMeter. So the good thing that wherever your application is deployed, or the server you have for your application, get a a machine in that subnet, and then deploy JMeter on that subnet. So whatever performance testing you do, you will be getting the more accurate result, which will include very less or no latency. So it's the important thing to note that you should be having your JMeter as a load generator in the same subnet.
Thank you. It's a very important point. Thank you for letting me know. And the last thing is like when we are checking supposedly response time, we have been using the websites. We see that first time the application load, it takes a little bit time, but second time it loads, it takes less time because of cookies and the other things. Does these things also affects in the JMeter results?
So actually, when we do performance testing, we simply do not include the first page, or if I do performance testing for any application, we do it for some duration, for 30 minutes or for 1 hour duration. So if we talk about 1 hour duration, we keep repeating the pages for 1 hour duration. And if my first page is anyway higher, then we talk about the average response time or the 98% response time. So basically the first page will not be considered as a main problem, but we should be excluding those. But anyway, if we talk about the average, that's almost excluded.
Thank you.
Okay, so performance versus functional. I think we have talked a lot about performance things, but quickly, when we talk about functional testing, we simply validate the functionality, like my core functionality, the core functionality of my application is working or not. If we talk about the add to bag functionality, so the functionality is written, or the functionality exists, and is responsible for adding products to bag. When I click add to bag for any product, and my product is added into the bag, that fulfills the functionality. But when we talk about the performance aspect, we consider few other things apart from adding the product to bag. We include the response time as well. Like when we click add to bag, my product is added, but how much time it has taken? It has been added within a second, or it has taken 2 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, how much time it has taken. Again, when there are multiple persons, a lot of persons simultaneously adding some products into the bag, then how my application behaves. So we talk about the functional as non-functional aspects or the performance aspects, and these are the key difference of between functional and non-functional. So functionality is to just validate the core things. My item has been added, but I don't care about the responsiveness. It has been added in 10 seconds as well. That's fine. That fulfills the functionality. But from non-functional point of view, or from the performance point of view, adding a product in bag in 10 seconds might not be a valid performance. All right, so quickly talk about test plan design, and we look at the manual. And from the next class onward, we will be getting into the recording, that how we can create a test plan for any website. So there are two approaches of designing a test plan. A test plan consists of basically, when we talk about a test plan in JMeter, it's basically a script. We simply call it a script, which includes a test plan and a lot of components. So here, if I get back to JMeter, I will simply call this as a script. All right. I can save it to a name, any name. Let's say it's I have given a name. It's a script 1.jmx. Okay, so let me do that. Why so? Not sure what's happened. Okay, so meanwhile, let me launch another instance. Good thing that you can have multiple instances running in the system. And I'm getting some error. I'm not sure why. So just copy this and paste it here. And save. What's happened? Something problem? Let me see what's there. And caught exception in threads. It's something I need to look into. All right, so let's try. Probably I'm getting because of some configuration on my system itself, but it's a very strange thing I have noticed right now. Well, just to ignore this part, because I will be looking and will try to fix it. What's the problem in saving this script? But this should not happen, and I believe you might not get it. Okay, but on the point, what's the test plan or script we refer? So basically, it's a test plan, and we simply call it a JMeter script. So our JMeter script has extension .jmx. I can save any test plan with the name, let's say script 1.jmx. All right. So it's a script which I can simply again open in JMeter by going through the open tab, file open, and it will simply open a script which includes a test plan, different components. All right. So for now, I have just added an element thread group by right-clicking on test plan, add thread user thread group, and this thread group contains another 2 elements. Let me delete this one. So one element only, which I have renamed to home page. Okay, and this element, if you notice here, is the HTTP request, and this element is thread group. So any element you have added will reflect on the left pane. On the right side, you will be getting the related details. Like here, thread group, the name thread group, I can rename it to another name as well. I can put some comment. There are a few details about this thread group, that number of users, ramp up period, and loop count. And the another element, which is HTTP request, have other details like name as common to all elements, comments as common to all elements, but it has some different fields like basic, advanced. Under basic, we have some protocol and all these details. All right. So if I say I have to design a test plan, I have to hit the home page of Apache JMeter, like index.html. So this is my URL. For this, I have to design a test plan for the single page only. Okay. So the first way that simply I'm going to design is the manual approach of designing the test plan for this page. But the manual approach is not quite good when we deal with a lot of pages, because for my application, let's say I have to design a test plan for multiple pages, from launching the application, from login to the application, and then searching for some product into my application, and then adding product to cart, and then click on checkout, then place order. So all those stuff. So manually designing the test plan, including all those pages, will be quite difficult, and there are high chances of making mistakes, and probably you will end up creating a script which contains error, and then debugging all those things. So basically, it's a lengthy process, and it's a tough process of designing test plan manually. So to overcome those situations, we have options to design our test plan, like recording options. And like you record your Selenium script with the help of some extensions in the browser. We simply launch the browser, we browse the pages or the flow, and those things are automatically
Hello, your voice is not coming, Amit.
I think
Yes,
just
your voice is not coming.
Yeah, it's not audible to anyone.
let's wait for him, I guess.
so there was some network error, and I got disconnected.
Okay.
Yeah, now it is.
Am I audible now?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so I was just talking about the recording ways of recording the performance script. I think my screen sharing has also gone. Let me share it. I think is it okay? It's not.
Yeah, now visible.
Yes.
Okay. I'm not sure when I got disconnected. So what's the last point you just heard? It's about creating a script manually versus using the tools provided, right?
Yes.
All right. So there are ways of doing performance testing, or basically the
Amit, your voice is not coming. Is anybody else able to listen the voice?
No, no.
Create that.
No. Everyone is facing the same issue.
Yeah.
Okay, somehow I'm getting network connections drop.
I think it's network issue on your end.
Yes.
To wrap up this class, and I'm designing test plan, how to design a script. Basically, manual design is not recommended because it requires a lot of effort and it leads to error. So we'll
Amit, I believe you should not share your screen in case if you're facing difficulties for net. Audio should be good enough. What is connected? Is it?
Yeah, we'll look at the how to the Geometer extension. So if you get some time, just try to look at the ways of recording a script through the.
Amit, we are losing you in between a lot. I guess. Is it me or everybody, guys?
Everybody.
Everybody.
When we are going to have next session, what's the time?
Yeah, that.
Yeah, next we can have
Extension. So we'll discuss. Okay, and
Amit, can you hear us?
yes.
Okay. So is it going to be the same timing, Amit, the next weekend also, 10 o'clock to 90 minutes?
I think sir is not able to hear.
All right. For now, we're looking at the scripting and few other topics. All right.
Okay.
Okay. So now let me know if there is some questions you have.
yes.
And one of you was getting some error launching JMeter. We can tackle those as well. But before that, if there is some common questions you have to ask.
Yes.
What is Geometer extension you have written?
Sorry, about Geometer extension?
What is that?
Okay, so we will be talking about the recording. Basically, when we talk about designing a script in JMeter, let's say we have few pages. We have an application to do performance test, and that application contains different pages that we have to include, like launch page, login page, search page, and a few other pages. Then we have to add those pages into my JMeter script, right? So this Geometer extension provides us a way to convert those pages into a performance script. So it's a kind of tool that allows us to record our performance script.
It's an extension of a browser or a JMeter?
Yeah, it's an extension of Chrome browser.
Okay.
Okay, so the idea is that whatever application we have, we can launch that in my Chrome browser. And then we can start the recording through this Blazemeter extension added in Chrome browser, and whatever pages we visit through the Chrome browser will get recorded and get converted into a JMeter script.
Okay.
So is it
Sorry.
is it only supporting Chrome or other
Yes.
browsers as well?
It's this Blazemeter is for Chrome only.
Okay.
Amit, I have one question, Amit. Like regarding you said about the spike testing. So what is the difference between stress and spike testing, Amit? Because like almost both of them are, I think it is the same, because we are simulating maximum number of load for the stress to find the bottleneck. For the Skype, I'm not clear on that. That's the reason I'm asking you. Sorry, Amit.
Okay, so testing. Am I audible?
This is breaking, Amit. Like somewhat like it's not clear for us. Everyone is facing this, or like myself are facing this?
There's a lot of noise problem for the last.
I think there is some network unstable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree that there is some network instability at my end. But if I'm audible enough to understand, then I can proceed.
Yes.
Otherwise, I can take this question.
It's okay, Amit. Like now is like you are audible for everyone, I think so.
Okay, so when we do performance testing, if we do any kind of testing apart from a spike, let's say a load or a stress or endurance. So we talk about stress. We have 50 users to send basically 150 users to put load for the applications. So the idea is not to throw all these 150 users immediately on any page.
Okay.
Because it's a practice of performance testing, and that's how the real production traffic goes as well.
Correct. Yeah.
If you have had a chance to look at the real production traffic pattern, you will get a kind of gradual increase in traffic, like increasing over the time and then reaching the maximum at a certain point. That's the reason we have a ramp up period here defined in group to simulate such kind of situation. Yeah. So that's if you understand this, so this is what the important difference in a spike. So in a spike, we do not have such a ramp up period.
Okay.
And a spike is more dangerous for application because yeah, it suddenly throws a load which your application might be able to handle in a gradual manner, but not suddenly.
Okay, okay. So we are going to put a maximum user, like your 150 user at a time, to check like whether it is working or not for the Skype testing.
Yes. So for spike testing, we are putting a load in a manner like there is no load and there is a sudden high load. There is no load, there is a sudden high load. Such manner.
Okay, okay. So Skype is also called as a penetration testing, correct, Amit?
I need to actually look at the different name for spike, but it's not actually penetration. It's, I think penetration something relates to security. That definition you need to read.
Yes. So normally in real time, we are doing this kind of testing, or apart from this, we have volume testing or different kind of testing out there. So normally we'll do like load, stress, and endurance and Skype. This is a normal thing for the performance, or any other kind of testing is required for the real time. I'm asking for the real time.
So these are the key testing that satisfies most of the requirement of performance.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and you just mentioned volume. So volume is something that we do where we target about a higher data throughput. We try to maximize the data transfer as much as we can. So that's converted into a volume where we deal with a lot of data. So over the time, when you just try to create all these type of testing, you will get a good idea that what things makes these testing differences.
Okay.
Amit, one last thing, the timing would remain the same and the class should run for both Saturday, Sunday, 10 o'clock for 90 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Thank you.
So next week also Saturday, Sunday, Amit, like it's only on Sunday.
No, it's from next week onward, it's going Saturday, Sunday all.
Okay.
Amit, are we going to also, include any end-to-end cases for any case study to understand it better?
Yes. Whatever things we are going to cover throughout this course, we'll be creating a use case or a test plan where we will be adding all the things like covering end-to-end from launch, login, parameterization, correlation. Yeah, so we will be having a dummy application that gives us the way to use all the things in an end-to-end manner.
Great, thank you.
All right. So I'm stopping the recording. And there was some problem with one of you regarding Java. I can take that.